Welcome. At approximately 11 a.m. Pacific time today, the 129th Rescuing California Air National Guard completed a complex 7-day mission, saving the lives of a family aboard a 36-foot sailboat, Rebel Heart, approximately 1,500 nautical miles south of Moffett Federal Airfield, California. The 1-year-old patient and the family were transferred to higher level medical care today. Allow me to introduce Major Eric, Major Bendel, Major Mike Wagley, Airborne Mission Commander, Major Mark Bowman, Flight Doctor, and the 129th Rescue Wing Commander, Colonel Stephen J. Buteau. Sir.
Thank you for coming back. We're very proud of our team. It was a total wing effort. We have approximately 1,000 members of the 129th Rescue Wing, 3/4 of them being drill status guardsmen, and we responded to this mission within 5 hours of the initial tasking from the Coast Guard. Without further ado, I'd like to open it to questions and let you discuss the observations from the team that performed this life-saving mission.
Could we hear from some of the rescuers just about what it was like out there and how it went?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And if you could say and spell your name, that would help us out.
My name's Eric, E-R-I-C.
Last name?
I'm not going to give my last name right now, ma'am. I prefer not to. Obviously, like the Colonel said, it was a team effort. That team including the United States Navy and 3rd Fleet. Sea state was pretty rough, high winds, but overall it was a mission success. We had 4 people back, dropped off in San Diego this morning.
Well, what was it? Were you one of the guys that parachuted out?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so when you got to the boat, what condition were these folks in?
They were in decent condition. They made the right call to call for help when they did.
And was the first priority to go help the baby?
Yes, ma'am.
And how is she?
She's doing well. She's in good hands.
How was she when you first rolled up? I mean, 1-year-olds, they can be fussy, but this little girl was very sick.
She was a little bit sick. Yep. She wasn't at a critical point yet, but it could have gone downhill quickly, and that's why we went ultimately.
Sir, give us a visual of what you saw and what the demeanor of the parents were like. Were they obviously they must have been really happy to see you out there in the middle of the ocean.
Yes, they were. They were surprised that the United States was willing to put people 1,200 miles out to sea to pick them up. Demeanor was calm and collected. Their names Eric and Charlotte. We were very impressed with the way that they handled the whole situation.
When you arrived, the sailboat was also taking on water. Did you know that before you got onto that sailboat?
We had heard that there was issues with the sailboat. We didn't know exactly what they were.
Were you concerned that the sailboat might take on too much water before the other assets would be?
Not really. Not once we got on scene and talked to Eric.
What actually was your role? What did you do?
I was the overall team commander and just ran the mission from the command and control aspect and coordinating how we were going to get out of or get off the sailboat. Our team leader, Clay, was the guy that ran the medical side of it, and if you guys have questions about medicine and all that, he can answer those.
Can you just tell us how you're feeling today? I mean, this has been a pretty big story. You got 2 little kids involved. I don't know if you're a dad, but I mean, what's your feeling about being a part of this particular rescue?
It was definitely a good mission to be a part of. I'm happy to have been a part of it. Ready to get home to my family. We've been gone for 7 days. Haven't slept a lot, but it's good to be back on land.
And this is what you guys trained for?
Yes, ma'am. It is what we train for.
Sir, have you done combat missions similar? And is there a lot different, a lot the same?
Sir, I have done combat missions. There are similarities to them, and there's differences as well. I'm not going to go into combat too much right now, though.
How did it change the dynamic? I mean, you all train for this every day. Every time you go out, it's usually to help someone, but that someone usually isn't a baby. How does that change the dynamic of that rescue?
It doesn't change it too much, ma'am. Ultimately, we go through a decision process of whether or not to launch on a mission. The safety of our team is also of ultimate concern for us. The big thing with the baby is just knowing that medically they can be fine for a little while and then they can take a dive pretty quickly. So, you know, our guys have done a lot of work prepping for treating pediatrics, and they did a great job.
So the sailboat, we've seen the video from afar. The sailboat looks like nothing in the middle of the ocean. You all drop in even smaller than the sailboat. I know you train for it, but most of us could not possibly imagine what that's like without you describing it for us.
It's a little hard to describe, ma'am, to be honest, but at the end of the day, for us, it's like a training jump that we do. We go through all the same procedures. I think the only thing that all of us realize is once you get in the water, you're not a mile offshore, you know, getting picked up by your own boats. You're 1,000 miles off the coast of Mexico, you know, waiting on the Navy to come pick you up. So there's a little bit of that reality that hits home, but you keep pressing on with the job that you have to do.
How close did you drop into the sailboat?
We could see the sailboat. We were probably 100 yards off from the sailboat.
Was the sailboat hard to find out there?
No, it was not. It was lit up pretty well. We still had enough daylight to see it.
And GPS kind of got you in the neighborhood, or how did that happen?
Say that again, sir.
How did you find the neighborhood where they were at?
I'll actually let Major Wagley talk about that. He was the pilot, so they were ultimately the ones that got us to the sailboat.
Thanks. How you doing, Major Mike Wagley? I was the mission commander on the C-130. So you asked
Spell your name, sir?
Wagley, W-A-G-L-E. So you asked how we found it. The ceilings were low, and we had our last known position, and that's kind of how our navigator set up the track to find this. So what we did, we set up with a electronic search and a visual search using all our infrared and radar techniques. Comms were not really working so well, so we ended up finding them the old-fashioned way, visually. So ended up working out pretty well. We were kind of at the end of the light for the day, so we put pyro, so smokes and light, onto the scene. So that enabled our situational awareness much greater for the team of jumpers and for all our guys in the back to put out the equipment.
So did they give you coordinates and then you go to that on the map and then start looking around?
Yes, they give you coordinates and they have a timestamp on it. Then obviously it's left up to us with our techniques and technology on the aircraft to go from there.
Can you talk about just your satisfaction with being part of this, given it was a family with 2 little kids?
Just like Major Eric said, it's a great mission to be a part of. Anytime you can bring somebody home alive, especially Americans, it's a good thing.
Is this the aircraft that actually went out?
It is.
Can you talk about the families, at least on social media, there's been a fair amount of criticism of them for even being out there with these 2 little kids. Any thoughts about that? Any thoughts about you guys, all the resources that went into helping them?
Sure.
Yeah, we're a rescue unit. I have some personal thoughts. The Coast Guard, U.S. Coast Guard, actually saves more than 100 people a day on average across the year. The National Park Service saves more than 3,000 lives every year. Hikers, fishermen, people get stuck in a bad place in our own national park system. We've performed hundreds of missions like this one since 1977, most involving foreign merchant sailors or fishermen, but very few Americans. But this is what we exist to do. We save lives, and we're quite good at it. So we're happy. We're prepared. If we get another call today, we'll go out and do the same thing over again.
Do you know how do the taxpayers pay for that rescue? Does the family get a bill sometime in the future? What happens?
It's a good question. Major Eric mentioned something very important, which is that we train to perform a combat mission. And so a mission like this has tremendous training benefit to us. So we're using the same resources that we would have used if we went out and training in Monterey Bay or up in the mountains or anything else like that. So except this time we come back with 4 lives, which is a great reward.
So there's no bill that goes to anybody?
We're in the saving life business, not the billing business.
Can we hear from the Clay about the medical?
Sure.
aspect?
Yeah, Master Sergeant Clay.
Is it
Good afternoon.
Is your name?
Sure. My name's Clay. I like to withhold my last name also. I'm a pararescueman at the 129th Rescue Wing.
And
Yeah, I was one of the 4 guys that jumped from the plane. Landed in the water. We made our way with an inflatable boat to the sailboat. Once we boarded the ship, we started immediately treating the youngest daughter, the 1-year-old. She was pretty lethargic and out of it. She was going down the sickness spiral, we like to call it. Wasn't quite on death's door yet, but a couple of more days she would have been. So I'm glad the father pulled the trigger for rescue when he did. It helped out tremendously.
What were you able to do for her that turned her around pretty quickly?
We consulted the doc over the radio and took vitals and took all of the life-saving techniques we had and started to just make her comfortable at that point, and then got a course of treatment with the doctor, basically gave her antibiotics, monitored her fluid intake and outtake, and then just gave her all these love and care basically on the as best we could on the boat for a couple of days.
I know this is what you guys normally train for. What was your mindset knowing this was not a training, this was actually something really happening?
It's kind of daunting. We've done this multiple times. This is almost all of us here. This is not our first mission. We've done it overseas, here at the States, up in the mountains. So it's like Major Eric said, it's like another training mission, but the repercussions are a little more real.
I don't know if you're a family man, or I'm sure you have family. Any thoughts about being able to save small kids?
No, of course. I'm glad I could be a part of this mission with the 129th, and it's a team effort. I'm glad I was picked to go, and it's always happy when we can bring back live souls, whether I'm on the mission or not. But of course, it's a feeling of elation.
What kind of interaction did you have with the family? What did they say to you guys?
Oh, we were in cramped quarters for days together, so lots of interaction on a very mobile sailboat. They were really appreciative. They were actually surprised that America would spend the effort and the time and the dollars and possible lives to go and help them out. They were blown away. Nothing but thanks and gratitude for everyone that was involved, from the Navy to the 129th to everyone else.
Were they well equipped medically? Did they have?
Yes, the family was very, very well prepared for this voyage. They had all the necessary radios and equipment and training. A less prepared person wouldn't have called us as early as they did. So I'm glad they did. They did everything right, including calling us early and when the thing started to go bad. They had multiple radios that went down. Key one, they had their boat started to take on a small amount of water. They could have handled it. I mean, theoretically, they could have brought their boat back to shore. So when the daughter got sick, they said, okay, we're out of here. And they called us, and I'm glad they called us when they did.
Did one thing have to do with the other? The fact that they were taking on water, the fact that they lost power, the fact that the little girl got salmonella poisoning, which sometimes comes when you eat bad food?
Well, she had the salmonella before their trip, like a month before they departed. She was treated for that by a doctor in Mexico, and then they waited till she was healthy and then departed. The boat was taking on water, but not a tremendous amount. They could have easily kept up with the bailing of the water. We were doing it twice a day when we were on the boat for 3 days, and it would take 3 minutes, and then the boat was dry, and then we would monitor it every couple of hours, checking it out. The boat wasn't sinking. I was trying to get that across. It was just a small amount of water coming on board that was easily handled. The father had a electric bilge to bilge the water out, and then he had a hand pump bilge that we would do twice a day, and that would get rid of the water within minutes. So we could have handled it a lot worse if it had come across our desk.
So why didn't they start heading back in?
The time. They were 3 weeks out with favorable winds. Turning around and heading back towards shore with his sick daughter would have taken too long. So he decided that, hey, my family's worth more than my boat, so let's go ahead and get out of here while we can. And he gave us no illusions of that. I asked him the first night what his intentions were with the boat, and he didn't hesitate. We're getting out of here. We're going to scuttle the boat. My family's more important.
But they took a sick baby out. I mean, she was sick.
No, she was healthy when they departed. Yeah.
And what was wrong with the boat? It was really the sickness of the child getting sick.
Yes.
That triggered the call for help, right? I mean, it sounded like before that they might have been able to keep going with other issues.
Yes, I mean, it's pure speculation. If the daughter hadn't gotten sick, they probably never would have called us.
And the issues with the boat, because I've seen a lot of different things. There's communication, steering.
I know they had communication problems. Their long-range radio and then their backup long-range radio went down. The steering problems wasn't, not that I know of. No, we had no problem steering the boat.
And it was taking on water.
A small amount. One of the riggings, from what I understand, that holds the mainsail had cracked, but don't quote me, I'm not exactly positive. The father will know more about that.
And it was the 4 of them on the boat, and how many of you guys?
4 of us also, so 8 altogether.
Really crowded, like you said.
Yes, very crowded.
So you spent time together, you know, you're chatting. I mean, you have
Mhm.
to, right? Did they tell you that they were concerned about backlash when they got back?
We didn't know that this had become a media firestorm until we were on the naval vessel. At that point, they expressed some concern about, like normal people would, about the media hounding them when they got off the boat. But no, when we were on the sailboat, there was no discussion about that at all.
Like people are going to think that we are terrible parents for having done this.
Not to me, no.
So they didn't express any like self-doubt about this plan. They felt good about what they.
As far as I know, yeah.
Dr. Bowman should probably talk about the stress today.
Hi guys, Mark Bowman. I was the physician who's up here at Moffett helping to coordinate with the physician down there and talk to the teams. Welcome to a beautiful day. I want to kind of focus on one thing. I appreciate that, one, that the guys are incredibly talented behind us. They train on in all kinds of environments, that from water environments to the top of mountains. I am humbled every time I watch them. It's really an honor to work with them. Their care is absolutely stellar, whether they're infants, to toddlers, to teens, to adults. They really have the whole package. And then they have the support of people behind them to help facilitate that package. This is not done in a vacuum. They're prepared to do it in a vacuum, but we all work together. One of the things I really want to convey is we brought home a family. Everybody's alive. Everybody's healthy. It's a huge save. Don't underestimate how big of a deal this was. You're listening to Superman behind me talk about it. This guy eats bullets and runs around, and they're incredible. They don't even, your question about jumping out of a plane in the middle of the ocean, he doesn't think of that. They don't even see that. It's amazing. And the same thing with danger. That's their life, that's who they are. They are wired for it, they are trained for it, and that's why our California Guard does the incredible things we do, whether they're the tops of the mountains or the bottoms of the ocean. With this save, I do want to say something just on a personal basis. As a physician, we know that these families are coming back. I don't know if they debriefed, but did you guys hear that when they got off the boat, they got one bag? The mom and dad got one bag. Their entire house sunk, losing everything for 7 years. Can you imagine? You don't even have to be a homeowner to have that hurt your heart. We get that. Add to that the fact that they were worried about the lives of their at least one sick child, and certainly any parent would be worried about both. I think there's a lot of recovery, a lot of assessment that's going to go on with them. They need to go home. They need to plug in with their family. They need to plug in with their lives and get themselves together so they can set sail on probably a different course, but at least get themselves together. We know that that's going to take the tincture of time. One of the important things is giving them the ability to have that time. I think that I could ask for nothing more than to say, give them a little space for a time and make sure that they can kind of form their life back, because it's been such a traumatic event for them. One of the things I would also recommend is at some point they're going to want to talk. We know that in similar situations that talking can be therapeutic. It actually takes the traumatic component out of the memory and helps it to go away. When they start talking, I hope we as a community can listen, and listen thoughtfully, take the lessons that they've given us, and maybe make it more safe for people who are going to do these things, because they're wonderful folks, and they deserve our hearts and minds, especially going through this. It sounds like they've got a wonderful family. They were certainly supported by some of the biggest heroes I've ever met, and I don't think I could add anything more than that.
Doctor, do you have maybe to help people understand who are thinking that these parents were somehow irresponsible? I mean, if the child had salmonella a month before, recovered, and they waited till she recovered and then took the trip, I mean, as a doctor, do you have any thoughts about that they did anything necessarily irresponsible? It sounds like she was well when they left.
And so my understanding is she was well when they set out. We really don't spend the time, and I don't. It's a great question. It's not really one that's my job to answer. My job is to say, when things go terribly wrong and people are having the worst day of their life, we have guys that we can send out. And if it's a car that's gone off a cliff, I don't worry about whether it was the motor company that caused the problem, the slick road, or driver error and alcohol. It's the job of the men behind me to go in, risk their lives, and take the opportunity of all their skill and diligence to get those guys out of the car. Maybe at some point later, we'll talk about what we could have done better. We'll talk about lessons learned. But as far as the who's and whys, that really isn't the business that we're in. It's, yeah, I can. Bomann. I know you're going to want to put a W in there. Don't do it.
Here, let me wrap it up. I'll go ahead.
All right, sir.
I think it's important to reiterate, it is part of our American ethos to appreciate the value of human life. We don't put price on it. America was born a seafaring nation, and we've signed on to an international treaty that commits us to responding to save lives isolated out in the waters. It's a slippery slope to start putting value on life and a question whether or not we should do a rescue or not, and we won't be part of it. We exist to save lives. As the lieutenant said, we've saved more than 1,000 lives since being here in the California Air National Guard, and we intend to do more. And whenever somebody's in trouble, they usually don't plan on it, but they know that we'll come and get them. That's what's important. Thank you very much.
What's your last name?
Butow, B-U-T-O-W.
And your role in the mission?
Oh, I'm the wing commander, so thank you.
Can you give us your full name again, please?
Stephen with a V, J. Butow, B-U-T-O-W.
And rank?
Oh, Colonel.
Colonel.
Thank you.
Colonel.
The doctor, what is your rank?
Major, ma'am.
The doctor?
Was this your farthest mission afield?
We've actually had two which were further. One which we did, well, I guess it was just almost 2 years ago, which was about 3 degrees off north of the equator. And then we had one in the 90s that was almost all the way out to Hawaii. So.
Before you go, can you tell us where the sailboat is now? What happens with that Rebel Heart?
Actually, I'll let Eric answer that question.
It's at the bottom of the ocean, ma'am.
Irretrievable.
It's going to stay there.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for spending the time with the 129th Rescue Wing. We hope we answered all your questions. If you do have any follow-on questions, please feel free to contact me and we'll arrange other times. Thank you very much.
Hey, great job.
Sir, appreciate it.
Hey, thank you so much. Thanks. Let's get up out of here, get some rest.
Colonel, would you mind if I just ask you a couple questions?
Sure. Thank you.
Jennifer with the,
Rockstar.
what is your name?